Hey guys, my latest release, Chimera, is now out with two originals, Chimera and Rings, with some great remixes. And what I wanted to do today was something a little bit different. I wanted to go over different parts of Chimera, and I figured I'd make another video down the road going over how I made Rings. So this being Chimera, I just wanted to show you some different parts that I put in that I thought made a difference with the song, and so I'm going to go through that with you now. Alright, so the first parts that I wanted to go through were the arpeggio and the main lead. So the lead sounds a bit like this. And the arpeggio sounds like this. The whole idea was I built the arpeggio first. I believe it was S and H muted keys. It was a preset that I started with that was off of Ableton, and I just kind of ended up reshaping it on my own, adding an auto filter to it. As you can see, I put like a little bit of like LFO on there, and I wanted it to have a pulsating sound to give it rhythm, so it just wasn't completely boring. Sample that I believe I got from a sample pack. Let me just have a look here real quick. Yeah, it was all these different samples on here, and I just took one piece and I ended up doing transposition over here and just changing the notes instead of adding it to sampler. Sometimes if it's just a small change, I'll just kind of throw it in here and change it up on my own. It just, for me, was the way I worked with it this time. I don't know if it really keeps the integrity of the sample any better. And my EQ is really simple. I just took out the low end. I always take out the mud. And one thing I can kind of show you that I do is I group together all of my tracks by category. So you have all your effects, you have all your melody stuff over here, you have all of your percussion, and then I keep kick on a league of its own, and usually the bass I'll group together. For some reason I broke my own rules and didn't this time, but it just kind of helps me, because when I want to EQ everything, or if I want to like thicken up a section of the track, I can say, okay, well, here's the percussion, here's how I want to address it. In this case, with the percussion, which would sound like this. All the low is out, all of it. I leave that room under 100 for kick and for bass, so I can fatten it up, do whatever I want to do with it. You see I put another neutron on here. I can almost guarantee there's a transient shaper on here, just to give it just a little bit extra punch. Here's the melody section, same thing, everything below 100. FX, same deal, and really nothing on there, just everything below 100 is completely removed to leave room for these two players here, the bass and the kick. So the whole idea that I was getting to earlier was that I wanted to create a contrast. So you'll see if I highlight this over here where my cursor is, this is bass in A, then F, then G. So the whole track rolls along with the bass line going in A, and then the lead, which is the kalimba, is what triggers the entire change, and it's supposed to be somewhat of a surprise in the track, and that was the whole idea, and I'll let you listen to it right here. So minus the dropouts there, you can kind of hear that the bass line waits for the kalimba and then it'll change. And I'll just try to isolate these so you can hear it. You'll hear it right here. There it is in A. So that's the idea, something to create, a bit of a change. And that's really what I ran with the track, was that kalimba was going to change, and every time you see it hit, you'll actually see the bass line change, and it just goes from F to G to F to G every single time that kalimba changes. Changed it up for it. So other than that, something extra that I do with my tracks is, I think a lot of producers, you end up making a track, you're jamming out, you make lots and lots of sounds. I have a couple. I'm more of an outboard person, so I have a Behringer Model D, a Moog Matriarch, and a Prophet 6, and a Roland D50. And usually what I end up doing is I start with one sound, and one sound begets another sound, begets another sound, begets another sound, and I end up with a million different sounds. And the thing is with this music, or any music, you can only use a few, so I end up with a lot of extra stuff that, I can't use in the track, because it would just clutter it up. But what I do is I will take it and chop it up and reuse it, kind of recycle it into different parts of the song as little sound effects, little whooshes, little swells, little crashes. And that's what I did here. Here's a perfect example. This little fifth saw is most definitely from my Prophet. You can take a look at the sound wave right here and see that I probably cut it out from like a million other different things. But this is all it is right here. Just a saw with an echo. And I probably have some more of these in here as well. Here's another one. And all I did was take the same sound and I pitched it up. So you don't have to lose those sounds that you have. And as you can see here, I sprinkle them throughout the track. The cool part is, if they're melodic, they're already in key. You don't have to do anything with it. Let's see if I can find another one. Right here. You can see it along here. I actually reversed it. I even named it reverse buzz. But I'll give you an idea. I probably should solo it too. They're coming in. Just a little swell there. And then the opposite of the same thing probably right here. Yep, here it is. You can look down here. This is more of an attack sound. So when you're playing the track, it's just little things like that. Yeah. Just gives you a little bit of a hit. It keeps the track interesting because this overall is looped music, so you're dealing with lots of loops. So I like to have little sections in here that change it up. Other than that, some vocals in here that I just grabbed from samples. The arpeggio was all Ableton. The main lead was a sample that I just transpositioned. And a lot of the jamming stuff I do with my hardware synths didn't even make the main part of the track. They were used as effects, but it's just somehow, sometimes how it goes. And, you never have to stick to one thing. You can just go with whatever works. The bass line I did with the Behringer Model D, and I'm a big fan of that. I just love the sound of it. But, just give you an idea of bass lines. Just a punchy little bass line. Here was the MIDI. That's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm sure on there I had some type of distortion. Yep, and here's we go. Frequency shifter, because this thing is almost always out of tune. And it's just the way analog synths go. drum bus, neutron. One big thing I'm big into is, I'll turn this off, track spacer. I think DJ McIntyre, who owns SLC6, was the one that turned me on to this, and I'm like, oh, I don't need it, I'll just sidechain everything. And I'm stubborn about plugins because I don't want to add millions and millions. I mean, if you look at the side of this, I already have so many plugins. I don't want to have all this stuff here, but I still do. Don't like all the clutter. But anyway, back to this. This track spacer, if you don't know what it does, it ducks out frequencies sidechain versus ducking out the entire volume of the sound, which I think is really cool. So in this case, here's the kick. Take out the whole thing. It's only taken out what you need. So in terms of kick and bass, you can use it just to take out the low end of the bass line, and it'll leave the kick. And I think that's pretty cool. So that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to go over. I'm going to do more of these. This is my first one, so it's a learning process, but you know, I want to teach kind of what goes into the songs, and I enjoy talking about music. So yeah, expect more in the future, and check out Chimera and Rings out on Slick 6. It's out on Beatport, Spotify, all the major stores. Have a listen. Appreciate everything. Take care.